Hi, good morning, everyone. We'll be starting just in maybe 2 minutes. Got a few more attendees still joining, but so glad you're here and looking forward to doing the first Elstein webinar we've ever done before. All right, it is 11 a.m. So I'd like to say good morning to everyone and thank you for taking the time out to join us here. We've got a lot of interesting information that we want to share with you and only about 30 minutes to fit it all in. So we're going to cover the slides in the presentation first, and then we'll address questions that you might have after the presentation. If you do have a question, feel free to feel free to type it in the chat box at any time during the webinar, and we'll compile those questions and certainly address them at the end. If you have to leave for some reason, or if you want to refer back to this later because you missed something, we are recording it, and there will be a link created and sent to everyone so that they can look at this webinar later on if they're interested to do so. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this. We have 8 main topics that we want to cover today. We'll quickly talk about who is Nexthermal for those of you who aren't familiar with us. And then we're going to talk about who is Elstein, what is infrared heat, what are Elstein's main products, where can Elstein heaters be used, why would you choose Elstein, how Elstein can provide cost savings, and the last topic before we get to the Q&A will be Nexthermal and Elstein, how we work together to create integrated thermal systems and thermal solutions. So Nexthermal, based in Battle Creek, Michigan, and a manufacturing facility is also in Bangalore, India. We also have an office in China. The business here in the US started in 1991. And Nexthermal is Elstein's exclusive representative here in the United States. We not only act as their selling agent, but we provide all warranty support, all technical support, and as you'll see a bit later, we also provide the design, development, and integration of ceramic infrared heaters into panels, assemblies, and system. So the nice thing about all this is you could call us and order 10 or 20 stock Elstein heaters, or you could call us to help you design a complete heating system that would include heaters, temperature sensors, PLC controls, and build a whole entire system in-house if that's what you needed help with. In addition to that, Nexthermal as a manufacturer of a wide variety of heaters. Some of those are represented here in the graphs. In the top left there, you see a top seal that's actually a top seal system, and that we've fully designed and created in-house for a customer. We also build temperature sensors, cartridge heaters, coil heaters, immersion heaters, flexible tubular heaters. And then we have a full engineering staff in-house that does thermal analysis and helps with the design and development of heater assemblies and system integration. So Elstein, first and foremost, was the inventor of ceramic infrared heat for industrial heat. And they have an established reputation as a market leader due to their durable construction and high quality standards. All right, so in simplest form, what is infrared heat? We're talking about, three different forms of heat primarily, which is convection, conduction, and radiation. On the radiant heat, it's transmitted through electromagnetic waves. And when these waves are intercepted and absorbed, they're converted into heat. So the radiant energy is absorbed by objects in, say, a room, and it warms the space similar to your clothes absorbing light from the sun. And like the sun, radiant infrared heaters can heat without direct contact with the heating source. All right, so this is an excerpt right out of the Elstein catalog. It goes into a little more technical detail of what's infrared heat and how does it work. That first chart in the upper left is just showing that Elstein heaters operate in the 2 to 10 micrometer range. The second chart there shows the absorption of different materials. And essentially what it's showing is, say, if you're trying to heat aluminum, aluminum would only absorb about 15% of the energy from a heater, whereas something like a white ceramic or black ceramic would absorb over 90% of that radiation. And what that means really to everyone here is you talk about absorption, and Elstein can be used to heat plastics, even heat glass, many different materials, many different applications. And the main advantage really of radiant heaters over some of the other types of convection heating is that you have the ability to heat materials much faster. Radiant heaters are more efficient because their electromagnetic waves are intercepted and absorbed by the material being heated. So with convection heating systems, you're really heating the air in a given space, and then the air heats the material. That takes longer than what you get with an infrared heater. All right, so Elstein has a wide variety of products. Their catalog has over 50 pages of products, and we're not going to go through all of those today. We're going to talk about the first three here, the FSR, the FSM Max Life heater, and the HTS energy saving heater. But I just wanted you to be aware there's a wide variety of product offerings from Elstein, from simple heaters like you see here in the bottom right. They almost look like light bulbs, but they're not, but they can actually plug into a light bulb socket and operate as heaters. Or there can be full panels that have an array of heaters on them. 100 heaters are not abnormal, so they could build a whole panel of heaters for you. All right, so the Elstein FSR heater, this is the most commonly seen and commonly sold heater in the industry. It's a concave shape. They come in a couple different sizes, as you see there. The largest one is about 2.5 inches by about 10 inches long. And they go in smaller and larger sizes from that and different styles of heaters. This particular heater is available from 60 to 1,000 watts and has an operating temperature up to about 750 C. The heater is also available with an internal thermocouple, and all of the Elstein heaters come with a mounting clip system there so that this can mount right into a piece of sheet metal on a panel for ease of installation. Next up is the Elstein HTS heater. This is a high temperature series infrared heater, and it operates at up to 900 degrees C. This heater is unique in that it has a hollow casting and insulation in the back of the heater. And what that gives you is a significant reduction in heat getting into the wiring space behind the heater. So in essence, more of the energy, more of the heat is being pushed out through the front of the heater, and there's less heat loss. In addition to the hollow casting and internal insulation, what that really means is you could get up to 25% energy savings using this heater versus like an FSR style heater. All right, so we'll talk a little bit more about the energy savings a little bit later, but let's take a couple minutes just to talk about where Elstein heaters could be used. Some of you may already know you have these in your plant. If you're a distributor, you may be wondering where Elstein heaters could be used, so this will be helpful for you as well. We see a lot of applications in thermoforming, especially here in Michigan with the automotive industry. You'd be amazed at the number of thermoforming plants that are here in the Northeast, but they're all over the US too. There's also vacuum forming applications. Many of the plastic bottles have infrared heat as a heat source for that forming. PVC pipe belling machines, hot stamping, laminating machines. This is showing a couple images of a pipe forming application. So there's heaters that are going 360 degrees in circumference around a large PVC pipe to heat it up for bending. A lot of infrared heaters in the food industry, and that's becoming more and more common. You'll see them in warming systems, chocolate coating systems, even processed cheese, and baking and browning machines as well for cakes and pastries, things like that. This is just a couple images of some very large machines with hundreds of Elstein heaters in them for activating glue and for foil stretching. And then these are just some kind of bullet points of other areas that we've seen, other applications we're familiar with where Elstein infrared heaters are being used today. And if that's not enough for you, yes, there's even more. We won't go over all of them, but you'll have access to these slides after the presentations. And if you see something in the world that's not listed here and you're curious, we're here and can tell you pretty quickly whether it would work or not. But as a general rule of thumb, pretty much anywhere where non-contact heat is required or is preferred, we can come up with an Elstein heater or a system of heaters that will work for you to heat your product. So there's other infrared heater manufacturers out there, and why would you choose Elstein? As we've already mentioned, Elstein is the originator of the ceramic infrared heater, and they came up with the first patent. What's unique about Elstein is their focus on quality, and you'll see that in the construction of the heater. A very precise location for the resistance wire and the uniformity of the windings of that wire give you a more durable design, and they also give you a higher performance heater. We're very proud of the quality that Elstein provides in their heaters, and of the thousands, maybe tens of thousands of heaters that we've sold, we have a very, very low RMA rate on those heaters, and the life, you'll see in a little bit, the life expectancy on our heater is better than anybody else in the industry. In addition to the quality and durability of the Elstein heater, when you buy an Elstein heater here in the US from us, you get the Nexthermal engineering and application support, which is second to none. Because we've sold these heaters for many years and we've seen many, many applications, our staff here, our engineers here can help you as far as designing a system or coming up with a solution where you're not happy with the thermal support that you're getting right now. And our customer service department here at Nexthermal takes care of all of the Elstein inquiries, whether it be an RFQ or request for more information, engineering support, whatever. It's all about customer support, and Nexthermal does a very, very good job of supporting the Elstein product from beginning of sale all the way through field startup and after sales support. So continuing on, Elstein's the only company that has a written warranty on service hours, specifically for the FSM Max Life heater. What we found and what we've heard from customers that have bought Elstein is that they typically last 50% to 300% longer than the heater they were using before. We have a very tight wattage tolerance. It's right around plus minus 3%. Elstein uses a unique ceramic material and a proprietary glaze, which gives the heater the durability and a higher emissivity than our competitors. Elstein does 100% physical and electrical inspection during their QC process. So before the heaters are shipped to the end customer, they are 100% quality checked. And as I mentioned a few moments ago, they have a unique stainless steel mounting clip that provides extra durability and ease of installation on the heater. And later when you go to replace the heater, the clips are easily removed and the heater is easily replaced. All right, so tying in with why Elstein, I just wanted to take a couple minutes and talk about the FSM Max Life heater. This heater has a unique design in it and has a unique warranty that Elstein offers that nobody else does. And what it really gives you is 3 times the service life of a standard FSR heater. What does that mean? So if you're replacing heaters once a year, now you would only have to replace them once every 3 years. So fewer shutdowns, fewer maintenance costs, and longer life. And this chart's just showing it's a 3-year warranty versus most other companies where it's 1 year. We're at about 35,000 hours, and most other heaters are less than 10,000 hours. So it's pretty impressive that Elstein's come up with this unique design and able to do this. And it's the only one in the industry that has done it. So we're pretty proud of that. Back to the HTS heater just for a couple minutes. This talks about, and actually you'll see the images there of the nichrome wire that's inside the heater. And that resistance wire is well embedded into the ceramic of the heater. Some other companies don't have the ability to do that. And so what you get is a slower heater with lower cycle times. With the insulation in there, as we mentioned before, you get higher thermal efficiency, more radiant heat coming off the face of the heater. And what that gives to you is faster startup times, shorter cycle times, and an energy cost savings. So when we get into cost savings, we've had customers that say we'd like to know how much money we're going to save, because the Elstein HTS heater does cost a little bit more than the standard FSR heater or our competitors' heaters out there. And the reason for that is because, as you see there, the return on investment is quite higher than what you would get from anybody else. In fact, it's quite higher than what you're probably going to get on Wall Street. So if you look at the numbers and you look at the cost to purchase this heater, and we did a study using just 96 heaters, 23 hours a day. We've got the numbers to back this up, but the average return on investment is 429%. The reason for that is an energy savings, and as energy costs continue to go up, here in the US, electricity isn't as expensive, but in other countries it's quite a bit more expensive. But even here in the US now, you're seeing energy cost savings that could amount to over $6,000 just in the first year, which well offsets the money that you would pay in addition for an HTS over an FSR. So when we talk about Nexthermal and Elstein together, what we want you to come away with is there's pretty large capability here to support you, whether it be just ordering some heaters or keeping some heaters in stock for you, or providing a whole system. The pictures you see here were a project we worked on in the past for a clean room. The customer actually called us and wanted to buy 2 Elstein FSR heaters. And we went in there and talked to the customer. They tested the heaters out. They were trying to heat a unique product, and they weren't even sure that the infrared heater would do it. And it ended up doing it very well. And so then they called us in and said, well, we want to buy a couple hundred heaters, and can you put them in a panel for us? And oh, by the way, could you also control those heaters and provide non-contact temperature sensors to control the heat? So in the end, we provided heaters, a panel system, a control system, PLC controls with a graphical user interface that had the ability to do different products and different batches. And we even subcontracted with an electrical contractor to do the electrical install to help provide the electricity in the plant to run all these heaters. This is something that we designed in-house for all the animal lovers out there. We love pigs, and we've developed a system that replaced a very old and obsolete heating system. And what this system does is actually helps young pigs after they're born. It helps keep them warm for the first couple weeks of their life. And because of the system that we developed with the Elstein heaters and a small panel system, the farmers are buying these and using them because it reduces the mortality rate of the baby pigs that are being born. So we're pretty proud of that, that we're helping save pigs' lives. So kind of just going over Nexthermal and Elstein together, and what we do is provide systems that would do controls either for one one heater or just a couple heaters off of one controller. We can do all sorts of thermal analysis. We can do development and design work with you. And in addition to that, because of our offices in China and our plant in India, we have international sourcing capabilities. So we can offer things that nobody else here in the US can offer. All right, so that concludes the presentation portion of the Elstein infrared heater. And what we're going to do now is just take a couple minutes to address some of the questions that have come in. And we will have just a few minutes to do that. So bear with me just a second while we get that coordinated and get that into the system. All right, so we've got some questions that came in from different people in the audience. So let's go ahead and address those first, and then we'll close this out and let everybody go to lunch. All right, do you have a price sheet or a list of the different heaters offered? We do not publish a price sheet or put that on our website. You can go to our website and view many of the Elstein products there. But what we ask is that you either email or call in to our sales team, and we'll talk to you about the specific requirement of the heater you might need, the size, the wattage, voltage. We'll ask a couple questions on that, and then we can provide pricing either over the phone or on a formal quotation to you. Another question that came in is, do you have to make your own frame and bracketing system, or does Elstein provide that? We do. Elstein has a couple different options. They actually make full panel systems that could have an array of 100 or more heaters on it. That's called a BSI system. On a simpler form, they have EBF systems, which are panel systems where you could put 1, 2, 4, or 5 Elstein heaters just in one little subsystem. So they have those standard offerings that are right in the catalog. And then if those don't meet your needs, then you want to call us and talk to one of the sales people here, and we'll work with you to develop a unique or a custom panel system or mounting system for the heaters that you need. So there's a couple different options there on that. We do sell, whoops, I skipped a couple. The Elstein heaters do come in a couple different colors. There's actually one heater, they call it a color changing heater. So as it heats up, it changes to a different color. That's nice because it allows the operator or a maintenance person to walk by. If there was an array of 100 heaters, they could actually walk by when all the heaters were on, and if one heater was white and all the other heaters were rose colored, they know that that heater was not working. They also provide heaters in black or yellow, and there's, I think, rose color is one of the other ones that's offered. So yes, they do offer different colors. As far as what we have in stock, we have some FSR and HTS heaters in stock right now. If you have a requirement for us to keep some heaters in stock, we can look at that. It's typically, we want to have something where we look at the usage and look at the number of heaters that you're purchasing on a yearly basis, and then we would ask if that usage is high enough, we would ask for a stocking agreement, and then we would keep those heaters in stock for you. If there's a specific heater you're looking for that we don't stock, we can do that. And as of right now, we're stocking mostly FSR and HTS heaters. For special orders, if you're ordering something special, it's not in the standard catalog, probably at about 4 weeks. Could be a little bit longer if it's very unique. If it's just something where you're operating at a different voltage, it's typically about a 4-week lead time. How far away from the heating surface should the heater be on average? So that depends. It's completely application dependent, but you're usually 12 inches or less away from the product being heated. If you're talking about food, it could be a little bit farther away. And if you're talking about plastics, it could actually be closer. One of the projects we did recently, the heaters were maybe only 4 or 5 inches away from the material being heated. So it does vary, and that's where Nexthermal can, come in. We do have outside salespeople, including myself, that travel throughout the U.S. and Canada, and we're more than happy to come out and visit your plant and take a look at your application, and then make a recommendation on the heaters that you would use and the specifics of the application, how far the heaters should be away, that type of thing. Okay.
Jeff, if I could add something to that conversation too, probably
Sure.
should not be less than 50 millimeters away from the surface of the product being heated, no matter what product is being heated. So if you get closer than 2 inches, you can physically burn it because of the high temperature of the emitter. So minimum 50 millimeters, but as you said, out to 12 inches, or depending on the product being heated.
Very good point, Jeff. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Do Elstein heaters replace black quartz panel heaters and or quartz IR heaters? Jeff, do you have an opinion on that?
Yeah, the quartz works a little bit differently than the ceramic infrared heaters. They're both capable of heating product. There are some advantages and disadvantages to both of those two styles of heater. Quartz can be pretty fast reactive. Elsteins like to get up to temperature and stay at temperature. So you really have to evaluate what it is you're trying to accomplish with the heaters. In some cases, quartz were used and ceramics will outperform them, or vice versa. So really, it's a more complicated conversation than a direct replacement.
Okay, very good. Another question that came in, does Nexthermal manufacture the Elstein products, or are they made in Germany? They are made in Germany, 100% made in Germany, which explains why they're higher quality than any other Elstein, any other infrared heater out there. So yes, Elstein makes the heater, and then Nexthermal stocks the heater, technically supports the heater, and provides other system solutions in conjunction with the Elstein heater. Here's another one for you, Jeff Wheeler. Mm-hmm. Where is the temperature sensor typically placed inside the infrared heater?
Okay, well, if you order the ceramic emitter with the thermocouple installed, it is inside the ceramic along with the heating element. So it's measuring the temperature of the ceramic. That's important to note because it's not measuring the product temperature you're attempting to heat. So if I can step back for a minute, when Jeff was talking about 900 degrees C was the temperature of the emitter, or you know, the other temperatures, 750 C I think was another one. That's the product. That's a temperature of the emitter, not the temperature of the product being heated. That temperature is going to be derived by the absorption rate of the product being heated. So how readily does it capture that infrared wavelength and absorb that energy and heat up? So the thermocouple in the emitter is great if you can establish the delta T between where the emitter needs to operate temperature-wise and the product being heated where you want it to be temperature-wise.
Okay.
You think that answered the question, Jeff, or did I?
Nope, that's perfect.
Okay.
That's perfect, and thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
One of the other questions that came in was, can Elstein heaters operate in the presence of flammable gases?
So they're not explosion rated specifically to the ETX standard. I guess it depends on what protections there are in the environment. Generally, electrical products, you have to have some kind of controls if it's being operated in a flammable or explosive environment. So I'm hesitant to say yes, and I'm hesitant to say no. I think you'd have to understand how it's installed and how it's protected.
Okay. Yeah, that's something that if
there's no complaints, so.
Yeah. And if that's a concern, then we'd want to work with you, find out what the gases were, and we take that over to our engineering and analysis team just to ensure that it was a safe and a viable solution for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do most people use an IR sensor to measure part temperature, or just control the temperature of the heaters themselves?
Well, Jeff, you can answer this one very well.
Yeah, it's completely user chosen. In some cases, in some applications, the base temperature of the material being heated is very critical. So in those cases, we supply our heaters and panel systems with an infrared temperature sensor, which is non-contact. That works very, very well in many applications. There's also, surface mount thermocouples that can be applied to measure temperature directly on the product. But if your product's moving through a conveyor system or an assembly line, that's not practical. And so what you see in a lot of moving applications where the product's moving is they just use the internal temperature on the Elstein heaters, which, yes, you're correct, is measuring internal temperature of the heater itself. And then there's an offset, of course. So if the temperature is, say, 900 F on the heater, your product would be running at something less than that. Maybe it's 400 F, and you can control the temperature based on that offset. Is the 3-year warranty only for the 230 volt? I believe so. I would have to double check that unless Jeff knows for a fact. I know it's only for the FSM heater.
Yeah, I don't know the specific of that, Jeff. We'd have to confirm that with Elstein.
Right.
I would imagine it's related on voltage, but.
Yeah, we can find that out for you. I would think that it would be available at other voltages as well, but I'd want to confirm that. All right, for school on here, we got just a few more.
Good questions today.
Yeah. So someone's here, the ceramic heaters, what spectrum? We're looking at usually, I think it's 2 to 10 or 3 to 10 micrometers. Is that right, Jeff?
2 to 10, yes.
Okay.
And the power is dependent on the emitter temperature. So you can pull that curve to left or right depending on how hot the emitter is actually operating. Elstein has a nice graph in their brochure that shows temperature versus spectrum in terms of power output.
Okay, good. All right. There was a question about the inbuilt TC on the accuracies. So the thermocouple that we supply inside the heater, if you ask for that option, it's accurate to within plus or minus 1 degree C.
Well, it's certainly capable of operating the emitter at that range.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Through the control system, you use standard controls.
Okay. And there was a question, Jeff, you used the term a few minutes ago about delta T. Can you explain what delta T is?
Well, it's the difference in temperature from your source to your part being absorbed. So as you explained it better, Jeff, the offset between the emitters running at 700 degrees C, my product is only absorbing 400 degrees C worth of energy. That's the delta T I was referring to. So just knowing that there is an offset between what you've got on the controller versus what your product is actually seeing.
Right. And really that's the case with all heaters. That's not unique to infrared. So
yes,
even on our coil heaters for injection molding machines, they too can have an internal TC inside them, and there's still an offset, even though the nozzle is right up against the surface area of the device that's heating the injection nozzle. There's still an offset. It may not be as much as what it is on the infrared heater, but offset doesn't affect accuracy.
Right. You just have to plan for it. It's because all the thermal boundaries between where the thermocouple junction is and where that work is actually happening gives that delta T.
Yeah. Okay, good. Almost to the end here, just a couple more. Are these heaters able to operate in a vacuum? The answer to that is yes. Are the heaters UL listed? That is a US industry approval. These heaters are made in Germany, so I don't know for sure that they're UL. I do know that they can be CE rated. Jeff, do you have any other information on that?
Gosh, I don't believe they are UL. I have to confirm that with Elstein, because I think at one point they were looking at that though.
Okay.
So it might be, if there's an interest out there, might be something worth investigating. Absolutely. You got to, the thing with UL is you got to look at the entire system it's mounted into and the wiring that is going to the emitter. That's all part of the package, right? That they would want to have listed. So it's not just the emitter itself, it's how you get the power to it.
Okay. All right. So that's something we can address, and if that's a requirement for you, then we can certainly look at that and find out if CE approval is not good enough. Give us a call and we'll talk to you and see if we can come up with a solution that will meet your requirements. It looks like just one or two questions left. This is a good question. Has Elstein had any issues with noise on the embedded thermocouple over certain temperatures? We have seen in competitor models where the noise actually reaches close to 110 volts AC, which obviously fries the TC input.
Interesting.
Wow.
I've not heard that. I've not experienced it in any of the applications that I've supported using those heaters. I suppose if you're using a LabVIEW or computer-based system, some of those require a grounded thermocouple, and these are ungrounded. So provision might be needed based on the control system's need for input, but I've not seen that kind of feedback, no.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't either. I'm out in the field a lot, and probably 80% of the Elstein heaters that I've provided to customers with and then been in their plant afterwards, helping them with startup or after sales support. I've never ran into that. So that would be something where we'd probably want to provide you with a couple Elstein heaters first and test out but I think because of the construction of the heater and their design and the way they do the leads, I think would be very unique if there was a problem like that with the Elstein heater.
I have seen problems in the general wiring after it leaves the emitter. You know, if you don't isolate the thermocouple circuit and you're running 480 volts, yeah, I have seen cross EMF influences in the thermocouple circuit. But that's in the wiring downstream. That's not from the emitter itself. That's from how the wiring is routed in the tool.
Right.
You know, you can't run them parallel. If you do get noise, you twist the thermocouple wire once every inch, or braid it to sleeve it. You know, there's options to canceling out, but you can get noise further down.
Yeah. Okay, good. And just looks like one or two more come in. These heaters typically come with a pin-to-end connection designed to just go straight into a terminal block, but yes, we can provide them with ring terminals as an option. So if you're ordering heaters, the typical lead length is 3 inches. I think that is standard. They're protected with ceramic beads at 3 inches long and pins, but there's other lead lengths available, as well as ring terminals and other options as well for the lead termination. Yes, we do sell controllers. We have a very well-suited single loop controller that you can purchase simply as a controller that you mount in your panel, or we can provide it in an enclosure for you with lights and switches and timers, and we do some very unique custom control enclosures, and we're going to start doing some more marketing on that, so you'll see that soon on our website. And it works very well with the Elstein heaters. If you want to just control, you know, one bank of heaters or one set of heaters, you just need one single loop controller, and then we tie that in with a power switch and a enclosure and a programmable controller that controls it through the TC.
Jeff, you did have a picture of it earlier on the slide deck too.
Yeah, yeah, and we're going to be, we just got some new pictures, and we're going to be posting that on our website very soon, and there'll be more information on that as well. But in the meantime, if you're interested in the controller to control the Elstein heaters, certainly give us a call or give us an email, and we'll send you more information on that as well. All right. Well, I appreciate everybody's questions that they sent in. It made it very interesting. Hopefully everybody found this beneficial. As I said before, this was recorded, and we will be sending that out to you later today, so you have a copy of the presentation and the slideshow. And please give us a call. We really passionate about helping customers come up with solutions. So if you want to call us and just order 10, 20 heaters, great. But when you call us and say, you know, I've got this problem and I really need, you know, I need you guys' vision, or I need you guys' help to come up with something better, something that'll help us operate faster, or something that'll help improve efficiency. We really, really like to do that. We want to come out and visit you guys in the plant. And, you know, as soon as this whole virus thing's over, we're going to do hopefully a lot more of that. But in the meantime, give us a call. We can do, we do, you know, meetings through multiple different internet sites, Zoom and GoToWebinar, and we're using Microsoft Teams now. So we've done a lot of virtual meetings over the internet and helped customers that way too. So again, thank you everybody for your time. Look forward to hopefully communicating with you guys again soon, and take care. Have a good afternoon. Have a good rest of your week.